Good morning. We thank God for another beautiful Sunday morning, and we thank God for being with you this morning. To my church family, the West Trinity Baptist Church in Selma, and to all my family, my friends, happy Mother's Day. Um, Today is when we pause to say thank you to uh, all of the mothers who have done so much for us, and uh, they do it every day. A mother's love is a special love, so we thank God for all the mothers that are out there today. And I want to just give you a few encouraging words today with the message that the Lord has given me from Hebrews, the 11th chapter of the book of Hebrews. And I would like to read three verses. Verse 11, verse 31, and verse 35 from the book of Hebrews. Verse 11, through faith also Sarah herself received strength to conceive seed, and was delivered of a child when she was past age, because she judged him faithful who had promised. Verse 31, by faith the harlot Rahab perished not with them that believed not, when she had received the spies with peace. Verse 35, women received their dead raised to life again, and others were tortured, not accepting deliverance, that they might obtain a better resurrection. And from those three verses, I want to talk to you about great women of faith. Great women of faith. You know, when you think about Hebrews chapter 11, the first thing that comes to mind is faith. Uh, that's the that's the faith chapter of the Bible, and in this chapter it gives us all these Old Testament heroes of faith. The writer starts off by telling us the faith of Abel and Enoch and Noah and Abraham and Isaac, and he goes all down the list of these great heroes of faith. But there are also women in this chapter, and who are great heroes of faith as well, because all of these realize that without faith it is impossible to please him. For he that cometh to God must believe that he is, and he is a rewarder of them that diligently seek him. So today we want to celebrate these great women of faith, and how because of their faith they have been a blessing to our lives. Mothers and grandmothers and mothers who have adopted, whatever the case may be, we celebrate these great women of faith. We learn from this chapter that these women were empowered to accomplish the impossible. They were empowered to accomplish the impossible. Sarah was the wife of Abraham, and Sarah was barren. She was 89 years old, and she didn't have any children. And the Lord appeared unto Abraham and said to Abraham, this time next year, Sarah will have a child. When Sarah heard this, she laughed. She's 89, and Abraham is 99, and naturally she cannot see how this can happen. And the Lord asked Abraham, why did Sarah laugh? Is anything too hard for the Lord? Sarah denied laughing, but the Lord knew that she laughed. But somewhere between denial and fear, faith kicked in, because the Bible tells us that she knew that God was trustworthy, reliable, that he could bring the possible from the impossible. All things are possible with faith in God. And I want to speak to someone today who may be struggling, trying to make ends meet, who are trying to be a mother, a teacher, a provider, and it seems like things are overwhelming. I want to encourage you today that God can bring the impossible and he makes it possible. All things are possible. You just have to keep your faith in God. There's a lot going on, and we thank God for all the mothers who are trying to just keep it together, trusting God. He makes the impossible possible. Keep your faith in him. God empowered Sarah. He brought life to her womb that she was able to have a child at 90 years old. And if God can perform that miracle, he's still performing miracles today. Keep your faith in him. These women of faith, they were empowered to accomplish the impossible, and they also they were empowered to experience deliverance. The next woman that is mentioned in this chapter is Rahab. And Rahab story is a fascinating story. Rahab was a harlot living in Jericho. And when Joshua sent out the two spies to spy out the land, they ended up at the home of Rahab. And Rahab had to make a decision. Do I hide these spies, or do I turn them in to my countrymen? She had a decision to make, but because of her faith, she made the right decision. She told the spies, I know that the Lord has given this land to you, and all of us who live in this city are afraid. She said, I know what the Lord has done. He's killing your enemies. He dried up the Red Sea. Your God is God in heaven and in earth. Rahab said, I know this. You know, sometimes you can find people outside the church that has more faith than some people inside the church. Rahab had more faith in God than some of the children of Israel who haven't crossed over to the promised land yet. Yet all she needed was faith to be delivered. And because of her faith, not only was she saved, but her entire household was saved as well. I love the story of Rahab because it teaches us that we are not defined by our mistakes. We are defined by our faith in God. God delivered Rahab, and Rahab ended up being in the lineage of Jesus. Story of Rahab is a great woman of faith who let her faith make the right decision and unlock deliverance for her and her entire family. I want to encourage a mother out there who needs to understand that God is still, he's still delivering. All you have to do is make up in your mind, I'm going to follow the Lord. You have a decision to make. Rahab had to weigh the consequences, and she made the right decision to follow God. These great women of faith, they're empowered to accomplish the impossible. They have experienced the power of deliverance. And then finally, these great women of faith received the gift of life. The writer says in verse 35 that by faith, women received their dead raised to life again. When I thought about that, I thought about the woman in the book of 2 Kings who Elisha ministered to. Elisha told this woman who had no children, he said to her that you are going to have a son. And just like Elijah prophesied, this woman had a son, but the son died. And when the son died, the woman took her son and laid her son in a bed, and she went down, and her husband said, "Where are you going?" She said, "I'm going to find the man of God." And she told her husband, "All is well." When she went and she found Elisha, the man of God, and Elijah sent his servant, "Go find out what is wrong with the woman." And the woman told the servant, "All is well." And then when this woman got to Elijah, she fell on her feet and she told Elijah how her son had died. And Elijah went to her home, prayed to God, and God brought the child back to life. Her faith, she kept saying, "All is well." Her faith led her to the man of God. And God used Elijah to bring the child back. Her faith wasn't in Elisha, it was in God. And God used Elijah to bring the child back. You know, God specializes in bringing that which was dead back to life. And so mothers, don't stop praying for your children. Don't stop praying for your grandchildren. When we live outside of God, we're dead. But God has a way of bringing the dead back to life. Faithful mothers, keep pleading the blood of Jesus over your children. And I'm so glad that I had a praying mother, that when I was dead in sin, she kept praying for me. And in the fullness of time, God brought me back to life. We celebrate these great women of faith. They're empowered to accomplish the impossible. They are given the gift of deliverance, and they receive the gift of life. I ran across a poem that I want to share with you. It's called "A Mother's Work is Never Done." A mother's work is never done. She doesn't have much time for fun. It's a struggle to get through it. Only mothers seem to do it. She wake the kids up with a smile, make the breakfast, clean the towel. She pack the lunches, do the dishes. She find the socks and grant the wishes. She bake the cookies, wash the clothes. She tie the shoes and make the bows. She wipe the noses, wash the faces. She stop the fights and check the braces. She makes the snacks and change the diapers. She calls the teacher and pay the pipers. She make the beds and sweep the floor. She get the phone and then the door. She kiss the sores, she feeds the pet. She help with homework and call the vet. She reads the stories, trim the bangs, clean the windows, check the fangs. She laughs at jokes and guess the riddles. She listens to the horns and fiddles. She pulls the teeth and calls the fairy. She smiles a lot and never tarry. She checks for fever and for pox. She calls the doctor and match the socks. Set up carpools, do the shopping. Plan the parties, do the mopping. A mother's work is never done. Happy Mother's Day to all of our mothers out there. Keep your faith in God, and God will continue to lead you and to guide you. Thank God for our great women of faith. May God bless you and may He keep you is our prayer today.